All right. So this is to all my colleagues in independent media. Operation Midway Blitz is a go in Chicago. What is Operation Midway Blitz? Well, ICE teams all across the city of Chicago are now collecting up migrant individuals, violent criminals, and we are seeing a response on various social media platforms. Now, I know that there have been some videos posted on X, TikTok of supposed gangsters, or if they truly are part of that life, instigating and telling and trying to pull up in front of police stations, as well as calling out Donald Trump live on social media with threats. Now, I am not a lawyer. I am not an expert when it comes down to, you know, the true troubles of what you do when you post criminality or make, dare I say it, very violent threats. But when you show your face and say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, or probably have you and your friends do threats of X, Y, and Z, it's not going to bode well. Case in point, before we talk about Operation Blitz, this is something that's been going viral all over social media, especially here in Chicago. A group, I guess maybe a sect of a gang, showing off guns in front of a Chicago police station. I'm not saying this is all part of a plan, but here we go.
You know that. Don't say fuck the death. You know that. You be in that shit.
Not a smart move. I would not recommend doing that. And then, of course, and I hope that this is a prank, because here's the thing. If it's a prank, maybe this person can still save their lives. Maybe. And I do stress out the word maybe. Maybe. Because if this person is being very real, I know one thing. Social media is going to find him, and that's it.
Trump, do not send the National Guard to Chicago, gang. Do not, I repeat, do not do it. We are a different fucking breed out here, nigga. We are not Los Angeles. Nigga, we are not Washington, D.C. Nigga, this is Chicago, nigga. The niggas go fight back. I'm telling you.
No self-snitching. Stop it with that. Get help. No self-snitching. I have no idea what is possessing all these videos to go viral. It's almost as though it's part of a plan to make people respond in a way. There's also more footages of violence happening in the city. So let's talk about what's going on with Operation Midway Blitz.
So the surge has begun. You can see the new ICE vehicles on the streets here in Chicago. We're just outside the Cook County Courthouse, but that surge is part of the ICE-led Operation Midway Blitz that they say is in honor of a beautiful young Chicago woman, Katie Abraham, who was killed by an illegal alien drunk driver back in January of this year. And while we are getting reaction from Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who says that this blitz won't make Chicagoans safer, let me show you this video. Early this morning, I was out with one of ICE's teams, and we arrested this individual. His name is Juan Gaspar, and he is a 43-year-old illegal alien from Mexico. He has been convicted in 2024 of forcibly sexually assaulting a child under the age of 13. He was taken, as you can see here, without incident, but this is all part of the exact sort of violent criminal illegal alien that the ICE operations hope to bring in, apprehend, and ultimately deport. We were riding along with ICE's Deputy Director, Madison Sheehan. She talked a little bit about this operation to us, as well as what she has to say to the Democrats that are criticizing it. Listen.
This is an opportunity for us to go into sanctuary cities and work against these sanctuary city policies and not let them deter ICE from being able to do our work, to go after the worst of the worst, just like the guy behind me who committed sexual assault against a minor. I mean, these criminal aliens have wreaked havoc on the American people for years, and that time is over. And even when we have pushback from Democrat leadership, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue to go after the worst of the worst, just like somebody who committed sexual assault against a minor.
Now, of course, I want to pull this up here. Colorado People's News says, we arrested. Is Fox now working on the ICE or WTF? Well, no, I think what he meant to say is like they were there. I know what actual location they are at as well. They're at actually by South California, over there by the Cook County prison area, where many people are held. How do I know that? I used to intern for one of the Cook County commissioners way back in the day when I was in college, and trust me on it. That facility, I would not wish that upon my worst enemy. That will always stay buried deep in my mind and forever scar me emotionally. That is someplace I never want to visit again, ever, period. Simple as that. But Operation Midway Blitz is happening. Now, this whole talk of Mayor Brandon Johnson being part of a resistance or holding authority, or either that trying to stop Trump from enacting his policies, well, the operation is happening. The Chicago Police Department have already indicated that they're not going to stop ICE. They are not going to hinder their operations. So Mayor Brandon Johnson, what was that whole song and dance about that executive order? Is the only thing you're going to do is take Donald Trump to court? That's his territory. That's his home ground. That's where he knows how to use the system at its best. He's a survivor when it comes down to the courtroom drama. He loves it. He thrives on it. And you did exactly what he wanted you to do. Here's our fantastic mayor 6.6%.
And your wife, Stacy, be willing to cut your security detail from 150 sworn police officers and put those police officers back on the street where they can protect real Chicagoans?
So we're very proud of the work that we're doing collectively to ensure that our police officers have the resources that they need. As I've said repeatedly, it's policing and affordable housing, it's policing and youth employment, it's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's going to take all of us, the business community, the philanthropic community. We're working collectively with Cook County government, the state of Illinois, the state's attorney as well. The volume of cases that we are pushing towards the state's attorney so that we can continue to close out these cases as we really drill down with our detectives division as they solve crime, as they get the evidence over to the state's attorney, gives her the ability to make the prosecution so that we can continue to deter crime in the city of Chicago. That's the holistic approach that we're taking. Thank you.
Now, that was from July of last year, in which Mayor Brandon Johnson was confronted and asked about, well, what are you going to do about your own police detail? Because people, again, there was a lot of crime taking place here in the city. As much as the mayor wants to tout that the numbers are getting lower and lower and lower, that's not the case. As I spoke about on the Jimmy Dore show, we both agree that those numbers are very questionable, that the numbers could be fudged, and the numbers could very well be easily much higher than we all truly know. And yet Mayor Brandon Johnson, very similar to other previous mayors, have a large police detail. I get it. You need to have security. But right now, with ICE running about, I want to rewind just a little bit about this. With ICE running around with impunity, what is this mayor really going to do to enforce his promises to so many people that are against Donald Trump coming into Chicago?
Time is over. And even when we have pushback from Democrat leadership, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue to go after the worst of the worst, just like somebody who committed sexual assault against a minor.
And this is just day one. Martha, we understand this could go on for weeks as they surge more ICE personnel as well as federal law enforcement partners. Martha?
Continuing on, I want to just read a little bit more into this article here that we got from Block Club Chicago. So, in an effort known as Operation Midway Blitz, will target undocumented people both in Chicago and the state of Illinois, according to a press release issued Monday by the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees immigration and customs enforcement, known as ICE. A new round of targeted immigration enforcement operations has been expected for weeks, with federal agents who are now staying at the Great Lakes Naval Base north of the city, likely to focus on making immigration arrests and conducting raids in and around Chicago for more than a month. Trump also said he is considering sending the National Guard to the city, though it's unclear if and when that might happen. The ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew Governor Pritzker and his sanctuary policies would protect them and allow them to roam free on the streets, said Homeland Press Secretary. Illinois, Cook County, Chicago all have so-called sanctuary laws in place that bar law enforcement from assisting and coordinating with federal immigration enforcement operations. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson have stressed that officers do turn over offenders to ICE if they have a criminal warrant. So, in other words, this whole idea of protecting anybody is a joke. And the sanctuary city itself, just want to throw this out here, the idea, the concept of it, it was never fully detailed. There was never a real plan. I've mentioned this a few months ago, but the whole idea of the sanctuary shelters, too, was terrible. We've had guests on the show, Jamal Green, talk about some of the squalid conditions inside these sanctuary shelters. One shelter was stopped immediately from being constructed. It was down on the south side of Chicago. The residents in that area protested it for two reasons. One, they were not informed of its construction. And number two, that shelter was going to be built on a Superfund site in which there were dangerous toxins and metals, and which anybody who would be living there for a prolonged period of time would be exposed to many, many materials, toxic materials, that could end their lives. There was no plan. There never was a plan. In 2018, when Hardlands Media asked these aldermen and these activists and these organizers and these people protesting in the streets to get the feel-good points because they wanted to look better against Donald Trump, there wasn't a plan. So now all these migrants who came here, all these people who went through that arduous march, there was never a promise. And there was this arrogant notion that somehow Biden and Kamala had it in the bag. They didn't. And now Trump's elected, and this is going to happen. And is the mayor or the governor going to stick their necks out for anybody? No. You think a glorified parade on Wacker Drive across the river from Trump Tower is going to stop anything? No. Trump Tower is a private building. It's not a government building. Everybody, I'm going to say this again. To Donald Trump, the National Guard, ICE, and the FBI. You want to stop the criminality and all the bad guys, go to City Hall. To the activists and organizers who are so upset at Trump or either that, the lackluster actions of our politicians, go to City Hall. The answer is, you want to stop the problems in Chicago, go to City Hall. Am I the only... Look, thank goodness that YouTube has censored me. Thank goodness for that. Because I'm the only one telling the truth. The problem in Chicago is City Hall. The problems in Chicago can be directed to City Hall. Feels like I'm losing my mind here. Who's implementing these terrible policies? The politicians. Who's been allowing these terrible policies to continue on? The politicians. You want change? Go to City Hall. There. Feels like I'm taking crazy pills here. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe crazy pills is the only way to stay sane in an insane world. That's just how I feel. Don't ask me about my opinion. Continuing on, the operation announcement Monday comes as immigration agents detained 3 people on the southwest side over the weekend, according to an alderperson and local community groups. The arrest reports of immigration agents on the south side signal the start of an operation to neighbors and immigrant activists. So everyone's out there protesting. Everyone's out there organizing. And this is from the Cook County Courthouse, 2600 South California Avenue. And that's where a lot of people are going to be held up, and then they're going to be deported. And they're going to be deported out of O'Hare Airport or go to the Gary Chicago International Airport, which, by the way, just because I said it's the Gary Chicago International Airport, it's not this big major airport. It's not good. Believe you me, not good at all. Not good at all. But hold on. We actually have some footage of activists and organizers standing up against, well, Trump supporters and ICE.
Walk away, racist. Walk away, racist. I've never seen this. Walk away.
That's not going to stop anything. Same thing for right here as well.
And so be the men and women of ICE and the men and women of the Border Patrol. Today, Jason, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation right now because of President Trump's leadership and the men and women of the Border Patrol. But we also have the most secure border in history because of the work of ICE. ICE is sending a message to the whole world that there are consequences for entering the country illegally. There are consequences for being here illegally. And there are consequences, especially for being here illegally and committing crimes. So ICE is focusing on public safety threats. And I looked at the numbers this morning. 70% of everybody ICE arresting is a criminal. The other 30% are gang members who don't have criminal histories, national security threats. We're arresting them by the thousands, and those will final orders. They had due process at great taxpayer expense. A federal judge ordered them removed. And so be the men.
There's more here. Hold on.
What law enforcement agency are you with? What law enforcement agency are you with?
You are required to tell me, where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Just ask you a question.
Where
Give
are
me
you
a question.
taking us?
Where are you taking
Where are
us?
you
Really?
taking
Just
You have to tell us.
without identifying
You
yourself
have
as
to
a police
tell us.
officer.
You are kidnapping us. Tell us where you're taking us. Tell us where you're taking us. Tell us where you are taking us. You cannot do this. Tell us where.
Looks like Hans and Fritz are going to be busy today and tomorrow and the next stuff and the next days after. And yes, it is. It is very fascinating. It is the kind of shite that we are seeing happening right now. But I knew right off the bat that this was going to happen. I knew it. And I say this not to gloat. I just knew as soon as Mayor Brandon Johnson and Pritzker opened their mouth, started goading Trump, go ahead, bring in ICE. Come on. You're not allowed in here. That was all words. And that ICE was going to come in here. They already did it in February. And there's a very good chance, flip of a coin, that the National Guard will be brought in here as well. You think any of these protests are going to stop them? You think any of these politicians are really going to stick their necks out and really challenge Trump? This is going to happen. And most likely, I could tell you where a lot of the migrants, at least the nonviolent migrants, will go since they were detained by ICE. There's a guarantee that they will be deported through the Gary Chicago International Airport. Now, if that has changed, color me shocked, then I might go through O'Hare, maybe, or Midway, maybe. But from what Hard Lens Media saw way back in 2018, the Gary Chicago International Airport had a brand new storage facility, and that is where many protesters showed up. And that was from 2018, many, many, many years ago. I want to pull this up here too.
Back up. You're in my way. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Don't touch me.
Back up. Back up. Back
Don't
up.
touch me. You're already
Back
here. No
up.
one's
Back
here.
up. Ball your
¿Cómo
fist
se
up.
llama?
Back up.
Don't
Back
touch
up.
me.
Back up.
Don't
Back
touch
up. Back up. Back up now. Next time I'm spraying you. Next time I'm spraying you. Back
¿Cómo
up.
se llama?
Back up.
Get his number, bro. Get his number.
¿Cuál es su nombre? You bitch ass niggas. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cuál es el número del teléfono?
That's okay. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Thank you.
You ain't finna go, nigga.
Keep America safe, guys.
Shut the
Back
fuck up.
Keep America
Shut the
safe.
fuck up.
Keep America safe.
Shut the
Back up.
fuck.
Hey, Mayor Brandon Johnson, you made some promises, you made some words, you signed an executive order. Now what, Mayor? 6.6%. To everybody that was going to bat for Mayor Brandon Johnson and thought he was going to fight, already it's happening. It's a problem with everyone surrounding themselves with these Democrat politicians. They said words. I remember on Labor Day seeing some of these same politicians talking a big game and delivering nothing. Where's your I don't know, consistency? What are you going to do? Write a strongly worded letter? As soon as everybody started goading Trump, you fell for it. You fell for that trap. You fell for it. You fell for it. You fell for it. And just a heads up to a lot of these activists and organizers. You better keep a close eye on yourselves, because, see, there's snakes everywhere. Not only on the outside, but those from within. Let's check out on Little Village as they prepare for ICE. Chicago Liberation Center is running boot camps to train left-wing agitators. Oh, my goodness. So, hey, this is already going viral. You got to be careful out there, folks.
Say it twice. Say it once. Say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE. Say it once. Say it twice. Say it once. Say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE. Say it loud and say it clear. Say it loud and say it clear. We do not have any fear. We do not have any fear. Say it loud. Say it clear. Say it loud. Say it clear. We do not have any fear. We do not have any fear.
I didn't want to show this because it reminded me of that infamous DSA meeting where they kept on doing motion of order, motion of order. Be careful with loud noises. There are people with sensitive hearing or have ADHD. Motion of order, motion of order. Use proper pronouns. Motion of order, motion of order. We got to vote to do an assembly to vote for another issue. Clapping your hands and doing like, I don't know what the spirits of the people who died at the Haymarket riots way, way, way back in the day when they were fighting for workers' rights. But if their souls were to see what their descendants would be like, I think they'd cry in shame or disappointment or scream out in rage, because all these people who are talking a big game about being, resistance, unless you're willing to get your head caved in, be dragged by the streets, and knowing very well that you're not going to make it past tomorrow, what are you doing? Here, one more time. You're also, here's the thing. A lot of these major protests, some of them I don't go to because there's cameras and there's people out there. When I say keep your heads on a swivel, it's not a joke. You got to be careful out there. You don't know who's watching. It's just like that scene from Lord of the Rings when Gandalf is saying to Saruman, we don't know who else might be watching. And he covers that orb, and then all of a sudden he sees the eye of Sauron.
Say it once, say it twice. Say it once, say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE. Say it once, say it twice. Say it once, say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE. Say it loud and say it clear. Say it loud and say it clear. We do not have any fear. We do not have any fear. Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear. We do not have any fear. We do not have any fear.
Yeah, that'll stop them. That's the trick. That's the trick. I also want to pull up this interview here.
Let's bring in Democrat Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez. Raymond, brother, we've known each other for a long time.
Now, I'm not going to speculate here, all right? But I will say this. If the National Guard is to be brought in, you're going to see a little bit more of Alderman Raymond Lopez. If the occupation of Chicago truly goes through, there are many aldermen that have been challenging Mayor Brandon Johnson. And, I want to give a shout out to a lot of my viewers. I want to give a shout out to Nick, Mastermind Hour, shout out to Miguel H and everybody else. I read your delicious comments in our Discord, and I got to tell you, I am worried about our mayor's house. I don't know how he's able to deal with all this stress, but already his promises are nothing more than a fart in the wind.
I've gone back and forth to Chicago. Good morning. I want you to help explain the numbers, because they continue to say that the numbers are down. Murder's down 48%, robbery's down 11%, burglary is up 9%, felony theft up 44%, misdemeanor theft is up 59%, and motor vehicle theft is up 77%. But I want to go to that murder number, because they say it's down. But this weekend, it was 6 people that were killed. Last weekend, it was 11. That's not normal.
Well, any amount of murder is not normal, period. And what we know is that even though we're trending in the right direction, the perception of crime and the reality that exists with all the other categories is that crime is on the rise, and rightfully so. So when the president says that we're going to war, many people are anxious and excited by the fact that Yes, you're going to war against the criminals, those who believe that they can act with impunity in the streets of the city of Chicago. And finally, someone's going to stand up for the victims and all of those individuals who are forgotten after the headlines fade. Every day we've seen where individuals are being victimized in the city of Chicago. In my own ward, just last weekend, I had an individual. Year, we need to save some for next year. No one would ever accept that as an analogy, and neither should we in Chicago.
Raymond, I'm just curious. When you see these protests happening, saying they resist, I just don't see those people when I go to do interviews with the mothers and fathers and the victims that children have died in their front yard.
I want to acknowledge something right there. I don't know what happened, people. I don't know what happened, but we were frozen for a minute. So we do apologize for that delay of somehow being frozen, but we are still here, still standing tall. Kick people, hope you're doing well. So yes, that's not the first time. Please, let's keep an eye on the viewer count. And if anything does happen, know this, Hardlens Media is still live on Rumble, Kick, and X.
Who are the people that are protesting against this? I hear people saying they need help.
Lawrence, you remember we were in the South Loop together.
That's
and we had
right.
individuals who were excited that, we were taking up this issue of crime in Chicago and wanted help. And sadly, these individuals, these protesters, oftentimes many of them are paid to be there to protest, are trying to play on the sympathies of the liberal democratic politics of the city and saying that we need to stand up for those less fortunate who didn't have all of the amenities of life that they may have had. They try to guilt them into standing up for criminals. And in large part, it's working because people often don't talk about the victims, as we've seen in what happened in Charlottesville, where you had a repeat offender, a dozen times released, just willingly kill someone on a train. That could have been Chicago very easily. And to be honest, many people in the city of Chicago have had it with these protesters who have nothing better to do than to stand up on the wrong side of history.
Alderman, I'm so glad that you brought that up because that was going to be my segue. I don't mean to beat up in Chicago. This is happening in every major city that are controlled in many cases by Democrats. This young Ukrainian woman was fatally stabbed by this repeat offender because there's liberal Democrat leadership, much like your old, DA Kim Foxx in Chicago, Cook County, that want to release these people when they've been violent before and they escalate to murder.
There's a false sense that you could make up for the sins of the past by forgiving the sins of the present, and that's simply not the case. What we need to be is the party that stands up for people, for families like we used to be, the party that believes in being a safety net, but also in accountability. And sadly, the Democratic Party doesn't want to be that right now.
And what the alderman is failing to tell you guys is that when you run for Chicago mayor, theoretically, technically, you're running for as an independent. Same thing for all these candidates, really, because the Democrat machine is just that. It's a machine. It's a machine. Now the thing is, what he's saying, it's not false, but when it comes down for running for politics in Chicago politics, yes. Let me explain this to my libertarian, conservative, Trump supporter friends. The people in office are Democrats. Air quote. Democrats, at least in name only. I know, it's crazy. Like, what do you mean? But Chicago's a Democrat city. Yes, that's what it says on the paper. But that's just it, a piece of paper. You got to look past the piece of paper and go behind the doors to see the machine. And the machine is just chumming along. You just put on that little name tag, Democrat, and that's it. That's all it is. And they give occasionally crumbs, maybe crumbs to people, and that's it. And the crumbs are like microscopic. Why do you think Chicago's so messed up? It's because it's designed that way. The aldermen, the mayors, past and present, all laid down the foundations of what we're seeing here now. From the failures of the sanctuary cities to the city itself being $1.1 billion in the hole. And ICE is running around. I knew that this was going to happen, and I knew damn well that Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson were not going to do this. And if you think protests like this that are going to be marching down the streets, unless I see people out there 24/7, okay? Unless I see people out there in the thousands, 5,000s, 10,000 strong every day, all across the city, not just in front of Trump Tower on Wacker Drive across the river. I don't want to hear this crap about resistance because this isn't going to stop anything. The arrests are happening right now. I live on the south side of Chicago. So yeah, they're over the place. They're here. So don't give me that stuff of we're going to push back against Trump when he's doing it right now. It's like trying to stand up to the bully, and the bully just gives you a wedgie, and then you're up there on the flagpole, and everyone has to drag you down. Brilliant job, Mayor 6.6%. You played yourself, which is why he will probably be a one-term mayor. As for Governor J.B. Pritzker, should the National Guard be deployed here within the city, this will definitely challenge Pritzker's leadership because he is slated to be a 2028 contender for the presidential election cycle of the Democratic primary. Operation Blitz, Midway Blitz, is a go. So as you all know, I think I'll end this on a humorous note. Blitz, as in short for Blitzkrieg. And who knows all about that? Political Police, Commissariat Hans and Deputy Fritz. Answer the door.